I was part of a riot squad unit, and within that unit, they had created a terrorist task force. It was called the Cobra Team, and that was started back in '93 when the towers were bombed the first time. So I had changed my tour early that day, and I was there a few hours, and then we immediately were mobilized because we heard a plane hitting one of the towers. And us as a unit, us as the particular unit that we were in, knew right away that it was a terrorist move, and it wasn't just an accident. I just couldn't get there fast enough. I really didn't know what to anticipate. There was no way to anticipate the immense disaster that was there, the chaos that was ensuing. There was no way to even think that it would be that way.
I was in New York on September 11th because I worked for Morgan Stanley, and I was there for a 3-week training, and I had just arrived a couple days earlier. Their offices they occupied 50 floors of the World Trade Center, both between two towers. I was in the second tower on the 62nd floor. Well, that morning when I arrived, I just know that the entire time that I was in New York, when I arrived, I just felt really uncomfortable, like something was wrong, and just feeling a really uneasy feeling. And I woke up that morning and I went to work, and just sitting in there and, just feeling, when you have that intuition that like something is very wrong. And we were having a training, and I was sitting by the window, and they had a screen up, and their projector stopped working randomly, and they couldn't continue with the training, so they decided to go ahead and take a break. So I was able to get up and walk away from the window, and I was in the other room chatting with some people when the plane hit the first tower. And it was kind of important to me because when the plane hit the first tower, something actually flew through the window and landed all over my stuff, like all over my bag. There was glass everywhere, and I was just really grateful that their equipment stopped working, and I was able to get up so that I didn't get sprayed with glass.
There was nothing that we could have ever trained for to prepare us for this. And I just kind of relied on my training as I was pulling out of the tunnel, and all the debris that was falling, and the things that we saw on the street itself, and it was just chaos. And when I pulled up to as far as I can, which was Liberty and West Street, which is right there at the bottom of the plaza, we just couldn't get any further because of debris and cars that were all over the place. So I actually stepped out of my truck, and I was in total shock. I couldn't move, and I really was frozen by shock. And I remember my partner grabbing me and shaking me and telling me, "We have to leave. We're going to be killed." So I immediately came to and realized again what exactly was going on, and as much as I possibly can. And we ran down Liberty up to Promenade, and we were approached by a teacher. I just remember seeing her with her badge dangling, her card badge dangling, and screaming, there's a daycare, we have to get the kids." And my partner and I, we started grabbing some children and bringing them out down to the stairs and handing them to some folks, and they kind of created like a bucket brigade to get them away from the immediate area.
So Tuesday, 9/11, I was actually on a cruise with my mother and my sister, which had left from Manhattan, and we were going into Bermuda. On the morning of 9/11, I was supposed to do a conference call. At the time, I was a trader, an equity trader with RBC Capital Markets. And I was supposed to be doing a conference call that morning. I called to the office to basically tell them that it wasn't feasible to do it, and no one answered the phone. And what struck me was that I worked on a trading desk. There was 30 people at least on that desk. We didn't have voicemail. The phones always got answered. And I hung up, tried again, and the call didn't go through.
And we looked around and saw that everyone was gone, and finally we saw a security guard. She was standing there just white as a ghost, and she said, "Hey, we're evacuating the building," and didn't even get it a second thought, didn't try to grab my stuff, just beeline for the stairwell. And once I got into the stairwell, I was surprised how narrow it was. You really had to walk single file There was no side-by-side like you might imagine here in Arizona. It was extremely quiet in the stairwell. Most people were just going down in a very shocked manner, however very organized. There would be a few people that would come through and push past you and push you out of the way. But for the most part, everyone was really polite and quiet.